What is it like recruiting in the skilled trades industry?
What our clients look for in skills is a level of character and integrity. Because if you don't have that foundational piece, the skills don't matter. Skillwork was developed on a model that creates situations that only happen when you trust.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Proud Skillworker. Today, we're talking with Cam. Cam, thanks so much for being on the show. Just so everybody knows, Cam is a recruiter here at Skillwork, so we're going to continue this mini series on what it's like to recruit the trades. Cam, thanks for taking time out of your day. I always like to ask, tell me your story. How'd you end up here at Skillwork?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Michael. I started with Skillwork about 3.5 years ago, and coming into the company, I didn't know what to expect. I grew up on a ranch in Southwest Iowa. I naturally had a draw to the trades. I found myself in finance school, which is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And I came to Skillwork because of what I saw in the leadership in the company. I had the opportunity to meet one of the founders, Brett, the owner and founding partner of the company. Getting to know him and how he leads and develops people, I had the biggest interest in being a part of. So my journey to Skillwork is almost by mistake, connection in our church community, and ultimately led to a draw into the space through the leadership and Skillwork, ultimately developing a passion for the skilled trades, after spending so much time in it. I have bigger reasons for being here now and the mission that we have as a company. That's how I got here.
I'm curious to hear, and if you're willing to share kind of bigger reasons, bigger passions now. What keeps you at Skillwork? Now we know what drew you here. What keeps you here?
There's a couple of things, just being in the industry and a part of it. There's a gap between what I think the trades is supposed to resemble and where it is currently today. You could call it a lack of respect in the industry in general. But ultimately, I think these guys that I get to work with are doing a tough job, and they're doing a job that I think ultimately drives a lot of what America is. And so I've kind of grown hard for that in a way where I appreciate the work they do until it makes me want to work harder for them. And so I don't know, I see the value and the amount of impact that could be made on this place, and that's exciting. There's not a lot of other opportunities in other industries that attract me to stuff because just a lot of room for growth in this space.
I love it. So what would you say then? I'll ask you now, what are your biggest challenges that you're facing in advancing your career here, kind of in the space? Because I think those will lead us into what it's like recruiting in the skilled trades. What are the biggest challenges getting tradesmen on board, getting skill workers into the field? So what do you think your biggest challenge is? Like right now, what's the biggest hindrance between you and helping as many people as you can?
Half the time, and I always, my biggest challenge is going to be myself. I know that might sound cliche, but in the kind of role that I do, believe it or not, there's some people in this world that aren't the nicest or most grateful for being extended opportunities and developing those trusts. And so I lean on the side of putting a lot up front into people. And one of the biggest challenges that I have is stepping away and not feeling the pain of other people's decisions. We're going to decide what they decide. And I can't let their decision take away from me reaching out to the next person or the next guy and allowing me to serve them at the highest level. There's not a correlation between two different people in this space. And sometimes I can correlate bad experiences together. And so getting over that mental barrier for me is always going to be a challenge. You know this about me, Michael. We've been working together for a couple of years now, and I'm just passionate about the people I get to work with. And so when things go wrong, it's hard for me not to drag that into the next relationship I get to develop.
I think that's the hard part about what we do, right? Because we're basically we're all remote from the people that we're working with. They are our coworkers in the field, but very rarely do we get to interact with them before contract or even after they're on contract or while they're deployed for us. We've been here a while together. I'm curious to know, Cam, what do you think it is that's the largest barrier of entry into Skillwork right now for the candidates you're talking to? So at what point in the Skillwork process, so it's anywhere between 6 and 7 steps from the time you hire to the time we get you a job, usually within about 10 to 12 days. So what would you say is the biggest challenge or the largest barrier of entry or the fall off point for the majority of your candidates, right?
Yeah, there are two ways that I want to go about this question. I think the The easier direction to go is I have made things work with candidates that don't necessarily have all the skills that I need for the job. Especially a recruiting position, it is very easy to ultra focus on what their talents, skills, years of experience. And of course, there are things that our clients need, but what our clients need more than skills is a level of character and integrity. Because if you don't have that foundational piece, the skills don't matter. And so for that, it's kind of funny. I joke with friends, coworkers, my wife about, I don't hire people for skills. And I'm trying to figure out what the person believes and what they care about. Are they going to show up to work on time? And are they going to be dependable? That's my biggest barrier for myself. The skills part, I put guys in roles and force them to grow quickly in this because they have the character and the integrity and the work ethic. Honestly, I think it's kind of easy to work for skill work if you have those. If we could take it, they do long ways. Now, the other piece, it's definitely related. And one of the bigger challenges with recruiting in this is getting around stigma of recruiting companies and bad experiences that guys in the field have had. In the same way that I need to get over bad experiences that I've had with candidates, I need guys to trust me a little more than they do, knowing that I have their best interest in mind. Skillwork was developed on a model that creates situations that only happen when you trust the process of coming into the company and making a difference in that. So trust is another aspect. It's definitely a big barrier to entry. We can't trust each other and we can't figure a way around it. It's going to be hard to work together.
Yeah. What do you feel like you do to build that trust? Again, you got 10 days essentially from date of application to when someone's taken a job. And in that 10 days, you're probably on the phone for maybe 3 to 5 hours. So we're talking pretty quick trust, pretty fast process. What do you do? What's the one goal for you?
And here's the other aspect. I mean, extending trust first is going to be the quickest way to get there. It's tough to do when all you're doing is talking on the phone. And so for me, I have no problem, what I would say, showing my cards as quickly as I can. I want people to know who I am, why we're talking. And ultimately, I'm trying to figure out why this person is even wanting to talk. What is their purpose for putting their application out? Why are they looking to make a change in their career? And to that, you cannot put smoke in the mirrors on this, because the minute you tell someone, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what it's going to look like, and you don't execute on either one of those things, I don't expect that person to trust me. So a level of consistency in communication, making promises and delivering on those promises, and opening myself up on a personal level to show, hey, listen, this is who I am. This is a kid that grew up on a ranch in Southwest Iowa. I have this opportunity and I think you're the right fit for it. Let's just see if you are. I'm going to tell you what it's not. And please don't tell me what you're not. And we'll be able to work through that.
You talked a little bit in the beginning, right, about recruiting in the trades. You don't always talk to the nicest people. So what is it like recruiting in the skilled trades industry? Like you said, you're dealing with people all the time. What type of personalities are you running into? When you talked about kind of your own personal barriers of like, hey, bad phone call could lead to another one, but I got to change that. Like, what is it like though to recruit in the trades? We have high demand right now for skilled labor, and we have a fairly aggressive workforce that's looking to meet that demand. So what is it like being the facilitator to that?
Yeah. And I'll say this, I don't think it may be specifically to the skilled trade industry. I think any industry can have challenging people to work with. I mean, there's nothing different between a blue collar position versus what someone would call a white collar position. In either company, either direction, there are going to be people in this world who are flawed. It's just it's how it's going to be. I mean, we all are, right? Specifically, when you experience extending respect, and it's not reciprocated, when you experience extending a personal compliment or a piece of you in that regard, and it's not reciprocated, those are tough pieces. And trust me, there's just people out there that they've been hurt by past experience with a recruiter like me. I get it. I'm calling from Omaha, Nebraska, and you live in one. I know I'm unfamiliar to you, but it's my responsibility to show them who I am as quickly as possible. And they still don't like that aspect of who I am, then hey, probably a good thing. That's a good thing that we ended the conversation because it just wasn't. I do want to be clear with that though, Michael. Any industry, if I were to go recruit for any type of industry, I think you really got to run into tough people no matter what. I just wish, as I try to drive respect back into skilled trades, I'm also a part of it. So if I had an ask, I would say that respect is reciprocated. I didn't have to call you, and I didn't have time away from my life and what I have going on to take time for you. So know that if you have a recruiter calling you, instantly was a sign of respect.
That's huge. That's huge. I think I'll tie that in because at the end of all these episodes, Cam, I like to give everybody on the show a pedestal that they could stand on and preach to the whole industry theoretically. I don't think everyone's watching us. So at the end, I'll have you talk about kind of that respect, right? That reciprocity of respect. Reciprocity is a big thing in what we do. But before we get to the end, I do want to ask you, what have been your top 2 or 3 moments as a recruiter?
It's tough to pick 2 or 3. Coming into this industry, by the way, I did not think I'd be able to meet and experience the kind of people that I have. I mean, in the same vein of dealing with tough people in this industry, there are also the most down to earth, real people, real guys and girls I've been able to work with. It's been a blessing, but you know, my top experience landed with the people side of it. So I have no opportunity but to talk about certain guys that I have out in the field. And to that, I would say my top one is I had a candidate up in Iowa who we connected on a personal level with being men of Christ. And he and his wife traveled up to Iowa, and within 2 or 3 weeks, I had 4 or 5 guys at the same plant, and he was running a Bible study on Wednesday nights at the campgrounds where these guys would all come in and they'd have community and share the word together. And I can't imagine the kind of impact that had on not only the person running it, the opportunity to lead in their faith around, and like meeting people like that just makes my job so much fun. And one of my favorite, I feel gratification from my job when I send a guy into a facility or put him in our company, I'd put him into a client of ours where they love it. They have a great experience. They get 6 months or longer an opportunity to change their lifestyle, maybe pull them into a better situation in their life. And we get to share that together. It's, thank you for getting here. And I get a reciprocate saying, hey, thank you for operating at such a high level and treating our clients at such a high level. Such a gratifying thing. Yeah. Both pieces come together. Those got to be the top.
I won't put you on the spot because many of your skill workers in the field will ask, but one of these days someone's going to ask you your favorite skill worker, but today is not that day. So I'll end the show this way. I always like to ask if you could say one thing to the industry, right? One thing that everybody who's looking for work, who's going to get a call from a recruiter, whether it's you or any other recruiter, what would you say? You said it a little bit already, but why would you land on that respect? It's reciprocal. Why would you land there?
People will do things for you that you don't expect them to do when you kind of lead the way in that. If you feel like you've been talking to the wrong people, you're not getting anywhere with opportunities, and you talk to 5 recruiters now, show them what you want to see. If you're not getting intentionality from them, show them intentionality. If you're not getting respect, show them respect. People will reciprocate. They will reciprocate that eventually. If they don't, that's not the right person to work for. You know, vet out your recruiters just as much as they're vetting out you the role. That's the person who behind the scenes is advocating for you. They are taking care of you. They may not be the person on the phone with you or work beside you every day, but ultimately when push comes to shove, you want to make sure you have the right recruiter. The thing that I want the right candidate out in the field representing. And notice, pay attention to when a recruiter is extending you that respect or that intentionality. People in my position, we have to make a decision as well to let go of the last candidate, and you have to make a decision as well to let go of the last recruiter. They did something wrong. You cannot carry that systemic trust issue into the next relationship. You gotta let it go, and you gotta give a recruiter a chance. Listen, I'm not going to put smoke and mirrors. I'm not going to do what the last person did. I understand there's bad recruiters out there too, and protect yourself by looking for the right things in a recruiter. And then when you find one, reciprocate that into them, because once you build that bond that I have with some of my guys, that relationship is really, really valuable.
I love it. A lot of biblical truth in that too. Not just day to day how you interact with each other, but biblical. stood the test of time. Really wise. This end of the show, guys. Thank you so much. A huge thank you to our guest, Cam, who took time away from his desk, time away from serving all of you to come here and talk with me. Cam, selfless plugs. How can people reach you if they want a job?
Well, obviously, you can apply to Skillwork on Indeed. We have a website as well. For me, I like tools, man. Just call me. My number is on our website. You can look at Skillwork and find me directly. 402-512-0929. You can text me, but I'm more of a phone conversation guy myself.
All right. Hey, please leave comments, reach out to us, asking us for Cam to elaborate on something he said. We do respond to those. We'll reach back out. Also reach out if you want to be a guest on the show. Cam, thanks so much. Thank you all for listening.